Hello, everyone, and welcome to Avidian Gold's live corporate webinar. This is David Vidala from RBMG. Avidian Gold Corporation is listed on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol AVG and on the OTCQB under the symbol AVGDF. Joining us today is the company's president and CEO, Steve Roebuck, and Avidian's VP of Exploration, John Schaff, who will be going through Avidian's January investor presentation. This will include an update on their recent drill results, an overview of current operations, and upcoming milestones. At the end of the presentation, we will open it up for questions for management to address. If you are interested in asking a question and are logged into the Zoom app or web platform, you can submit your questions to us directly in the chat module. Please note this presentation is being recorded today, Thursday, January 20th, 2022, and will soon be made available on the company's website at avidiangold.com. Today's call may contain forward-looking statements that are subject to risks and uncertainties that may cause actual results, performance, or developments to differ materially from those contained in the statements and are not guarantees of future performance of the company. No assurance can be given that any of the events anticipated by the forward-looking statements will occur, or if they do occur, what benefits the company will obtain from them. Also, some risks and uncertainties may be out of the control of the company. Avidian Gold has a full disclaimer on page 2 of their presentation. Lastly, RBMG is not a registered investment advisor or broker-dealer. For more information, please visit rbmilestone.com. And now I'll hand it off to Steve and John. Gentlemen, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, David, and thank you, RBMG, for putting this together and bringing together an audience. And everybody at home in webinar land, thank you for your time. Avidian Gold, as you can see on this slide, you've been looking at for the last couple of minutes, advanced stage gold projects in Alaska and Nevada. I'll walk you through the entire presentation, but I'll spend particular time on the Golden Zone, where we just released drill results over the last couple of days. So that will be a bit of a focus. That image is actually from our drilling this September, in which we are drilling the Mayflower Extension Zone. That's what the MEZ stands for, and in the background, you can see our Breccia Pipe deposit, which is a 300,000 ounce gold deposit, along with about 1.5 million ounces of silver. So with that, I'll start off. That's the forward-looking statement that Dave speed read for us. Thank you very much. The management team, veteran team, a lot of experienced people on this slide that you see right here. Joining me is John Schaff. He joined the company in July. John's based in Reno. I'll just direct your attention to our chairman, David Anderson. He's a mining veteran, been very successful in this industry. At the end of the month, beginning of next month, he'll be stepping down as the chairman and staying on more as an advisor. And Dino Totero, who is currently our vice chairman, will assume the chairman's role. So a seamless change at the top, people who are already experienced with the company and the projects. People who are not on this list are, the consultants and the contractors who have helped us along, and a shout out to Jared Anderson, who's one of our staff geologists, who has helped out a lot up in Alaska over the last year, pulling things together. So more than just the people that you see here. Just the cap table, so to speak, 167 million shares outstanding. There's warrants, options, fully diluted, about 223. Management directors and insiders, well, approximately 10%. David Anderson being probably our largest shareholder on the team. Eric Sprott is a very large shareholder of the company. Cash in hand, a little stale right here, but maybe at about $1 million at this point in time. High Tide, which I'll talk about soon, it's got its own treasury. Market capitalization of the company, approximately $15-16 million. So it's fairly low at this point in time. What is our mantra? Would be value creation through exploration, discovery, and sale. I've already kind of just briefly introduced the team with a track record of success. We've got a focus strategy. We're operating exclusively in North America. It's where we want to be. It's a safe investment, and it's safe to put our people out in the field. Our advanced stage assets in Alaska, they're in the Tintina Gold Belt. We've got the Golden Zone project. I'll expand on that soon. We did drilling this year on the Mayflower extension. Again, I'll be expanding on that. Armanita is adjacent to the Kinross Gold's Fort Knox mine. I'll talk about that in a little bit. And then in Nevada, we've got a singular project called Jungo, drill ready copper gold project. And then the subsidiary, you may have seen on the slide, and I mentioned it briefly on the last one, High Tide Resources. We are spinning this company out. Avidian is a substantial shareholder, and there will be a share distribution back to our shareholders of Avidian in the new company High Tide. I'll touch on that near the end of the slide, end of the deck, pardon me. And really, you know, we're looking at an iron ore project and a battery metals project, advanced stage, both of them. And I can talk a little bit more about going public near the end. So Alaska, tier 1 mining jurisdiction. You can see the Tintina Gold Belt stretching from Alaska through Yukon and into northwestern British Columbia. The typical model there is intrusion-related gold systems. Alaska is, you know, a stable jurisdiction, you know, predictable. 80% of the revenue comes from mining, oil, and gas. It's ranked very highly by the Fraser Institute in terms of investment attractiveness. After Nevada, it's the second largest gold producer in the United States. And we've got 3 projects there. And as you can see in that little pop-up bubble in the top left corner, just around the Fort Knox mine, we've got 2 projects, Amanita Northeast and Amanita. And then to the south, halfway between Fairbanks and Anchorage, and just off the highway is our Golden Zone project. And that's where we're going to spend a little bit of time. So there's a couple of things that you need to know about Golden Zone, and in this part of the world particular, is that we've got great geology. We've got a big project area. You know, right now, you know, we're about 6 to 8 kilometers, roughly 5 miles west of the paved highway, of the railroad, and of the power line. There's a lot of very good projects in Alaska, but none that have got this type of access to infrastructure, which is critical. We've got, you know, a gravel road to site. We've got an airstrip, and we've got a permanent camp that we can operate year round. And that you can see that red box just in this area here. That is actually a state of Alaska claim. This is actually a mining lease, pardon me, shown in red, with an additional 31 years remaining on that. Again, great geology. This is very, very important to make a significant discovery. And you know, being part of the Tintina Gold Belt, you've got all of these large-scale deposits, you know, stretching into the Yukon, the Dublin Gulch, the Casino, Donlin. These are substantial. And just to the west of us too is the Estelle project. And I'll mention that at some point in time. Avidian, there's also, we inherited $25 million worth of historical exploration in a well-organized database, and that's really important because it's working that data that helps us find something new. So again, staying with the Golden Zone, it's got multi-million ounce potential. It's a very large project at 125 square kilometers and 19-kilometer mineralized trend, which you can see kind of going off in this direction right here. Putting that in some perspective, how big a project area that is. If you were to think about New York, the project would stretch, you know, on the east to west side from, you know, New Jersey and Hoboken, right through to the west side, downtown, east side, all the way across to Brooklyn. And if you went north to south, it would be from the southern tip of lower Manhattan, all the way up to past Central Park. And then, so that gives you a size of scale. And then we've got the breccia pipe. The breccia pipe is a 300,000 ounce resource that we have, which would essentially fit in Times Square. So it's a small compact deposit right here, but as you can see, there is a lot of ground and a lot of high grade gold mineralization that you're seeing right here. The color code is important to understand. The red dots are 1 to 5 grams, the purple dots are 5 to 20 grams, and those pink triangles are greater than 20 grams per ton. That's important. This is very high grade terrain that we're seeing right here. So what we did last year is we had several drill targets in and around the breccia pipe, and mainly on that Mayflower extension, or exclusively on the Mayflower extension zone, a trend going northeast away from that breccia pipe, and then to the Copper King area, about 5 kilometers to the south. And then we did some early stage mapping in these yellow ovals to the southwest, in which we've termed now the Southwest Prospect. So we were successful again last year. So this project has got a lot of potential. And you can see some of the not so much historic, but recent discoveries that Avidian has made in this Copper King area and then into the Southwest Prospects. You can see that there's good grade gold and copper mineralization that we were following up on and will continue to follow up on as we go forward. And just talking about, well, you can see it right here. This is the breccia pipe. This is our 300,000 ounce deposit. And then there was this large gap. We had 2 drill holes, or 2 or 3 drill holes in it. We said, okay, it looks like just right up in this area here, it looks like it's well mineralized, 17 meters of 2 grams, 21 meters of 1.46. But there was this large area in here that was undrilled, and then off to the northeast beyond it. We said, okay, let's look near proximal to the breccia pipe and let's do some drilling. So we drilled 27 holes on the project. 17 of them were drilled on the Mayflower extension zone, both in this gap here and beyond. And the rest of this I've kind of mentioned already. We did prospecting to the southwest area, and then we did a large drone magnetic survey over the entire project area, and that's really key because we're starting to see some of the details are starting to come through. So let's take a look at the drilling that we did. These are the I guess the 17 holes in which we drilled on the Mayflower extension. Again, to orient you, looking at the map on the left-hand side, there's your breccia pipe, essentially your 300,000 ounce deposit. And we had this Mayflower extension zone, and which we've termed like a mineralized corridor. So today, or in that press release we released a couple of days ago, these were the drill holes in which we were able to get all the assays from. And then you can see this is a little bit more of a close-up of this mineralized corridor with the recent drilling. So the GZ is golden zone. 17 and 18 would have been the years that they were drilled. So all of the ones that are at 21 and reverse circulation, holes 1, 2, 27, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. These are the ones that we just presented. Now we have another, I guess we're presenting 8. We put out 8. We've got 9 more drill holes that we hope to be able to bring to the market in the next couple of weeks. And that will help fill into this southwest area over here. So we were extremely happy with the results. Holes number 1 and 2, for example, on this one here, number 2, 46 meters of 1 gram, 50 meters of 0.7 grams in hole 27, etc. So it all falls neatly within this mineralized zone. And I think one of the other things that really we can share right now that popped out to us was that there was multiple mineralized zones. So not just one horizon that was mineralized. We hit a zone, and it died off, and then all of a sudden it picked up back. And this is a really good example of what you're seeing right here, is that you've got multiple zones. Again, you got a big zone here, another one here, etc., etc. So another hole number 5 will be another good example. So and that was a nice surprise to us. Another surprise to us was that a lot of the holes ended in mineralization. So that gives us potential to come back, drill further. The drill that we used this year was a light RC drill. I think that it was an effective tool. We didn't get deep penetration, in that. I think that the next time that we come back, we will come better equipped with maybe a more powerful rig. You can see sometimes, I've put a note here that the hole was abandoned at, let's say, 62 meters and did not reach its target. That is not that uncommon at all in any exploration program. Sometimes you make it the target depth, sometimes you don't. A couple of things that come along is, tough ground, fault conditions, water conditions, anything can happen downhole as you're drilling. So, when you've done your first pass program on that, you learn a lot. You say, okay, how can I rectify that? You can come back and bring maybe a more powerful rig and just be a little bit more prepared for what you're about to, encounter. It doesn't mean that the target was not a good target. It just means that we just couldn't reach it, and it's still a viable target. So we'll go back in that area, hole number 1, we'll drill it again right here. Hole number 4, we stopped at 62. We may have been targeting 125 meters. So I just wanted to explain that because actually I'd had a question on that earlier. So when you look at these drill holes and that you put them on a section, I've shown you right now, this is a plan view. So this is kind of hovering above and looking straight down and projecting everything back up the surface. But if I was to stand at the breccia pipe and look towards the northeast, this is essentially what we'd be seeing. This is what we call a cross-sectional view. And this is conceptual at this point in time. As John, who is joining me on the call, can attest. There was pretty funny conversations going on, a little bit of arguing about, is the orientation more vertical or is it open towards more of a lower dip? And you know what, it could very well be that we drill a little bit more and we'll have a different, thought on exactly how the mineralization is trending. But certainly, what we're seeing right here is very, very encouraging for us in the company. So, this is something that we look forward to. We certainly look forward to coming back to you guys, the market, in the next couple of weeks with these rest of these drill holes to the southwest, and maybe that's going to help us figure out exactly what's going on. But the important thing to note here is that the mineralization trend continues and it is open towards the northeast. So there is much more work to be done. All the holes are shallow. We can drill underneath, we can extend, we can pull the mineralization down, we can extend it off to the northeast and to the southwest, because beyond the breccia pipe, there is virtually no drilling in this area. So we certainly look forward to being able to come back and really add to the story here. This is just the beginning. We're just getting going here. I also mentioned that we did some drilling around the Copper King area. That's about 5 kilometers to the south. You can see some of our holes. We don't have the information back on that, but we were following up on some earlier holes drilled again in 2018, where you're getting 9 meters of 8.7 grams per ton gold, 81 grams per ton silver, and high grade copper. And what we liked is we're seeing an intrusive with stockwork with carrying gold and silver and copper mineralization. So we're gonna, it could be a little bit more, a couple more weeks beyond that until we get some results, but we look forward to being able to talk more than just the MEZ, but Copper King and the Long Creek area. So I mentioned that we did a little bit of prospecting off to the southwest. This is a continuation of that same 19-kilometer mineralized trend. So we're heading off towards the southwest. We had done some work in 2018, 2019, 2021. Well, 2020 didn't really happen because of the COVID situation. But we got back in this year and we did some follow-up prospecting, and we are continue to be impressed with what we're seeing. Large scale gold mineralization. We certainly think that there is a bigger story to be told here, but we're just chipping away at this when time would permit us. Our focus this year was certainly on the drilling. And we just kind of, we're setting ourselves up for a more fulsome exploration program in this area and do some follow-up work on what we've established right now. So let's leave the central Alaska, south central Alaska area. Let's drive up north back up to Fairbanks and go to the Fairbanks mining district here. At the center of this is, of course, the Kinross mine. They've produced 8 million ounces. There's been 8 million ounces coming out of the, placer gold. Recently, well, I guess back in 2020, Kinross decided to buy the Peak Gold deposit. They renamed it the Manh Choh deposit. They paid a pretty penny for that, and they're using it as incremental feed, and they're going to truck it about 250 miles from Tok, Alaska. They very recently just put their Gill deposit into operation just to the east, and they are going to again truck that over to the mine. Which, that's, allowing them to, utilize and best utilize the capacity that they've got on their leach pads and their mill. But they certainly are in the business of looking for incremental feed. And that kind of gives us some hope that, we've got 2 projects. Early stage is our Amanita Northeast. We bought that in, I guess, 2020, in July 2020. We just recently did a ground penetrating radar survey on that to see its effectiveness in terms of placer gold. There's certainly more work that needs to be done on Amanita Northeast, but the Amanita project certainly is one that we think is got real potential. And being so close to Fort Knox, and there's essentially a road that runs along the north end of the project and back up to about here, it wouldn't be very complicated to continue. And so at some point in time, could this be potential incremental feed for Fort Knox? That's to be determined. But we certainly have the project, and we think that there is a very good case to be made. This project belonged to Fort Knox, or sorry, to Kinross, and actually its predecessor, AMAX. They did some work back in the day, and then when the price of gold went down to, I guess, about $250 an ounce, they dropped their exploration projects. The project sat idle for a number of years. We picked it up probably about 4 or 5 years ago, and we've been able to do work in 2019 and again in 2020. So we knew where there was some high-grade gold that had been drilled near surface by Amex Kinross. So what we did was we did some trenching. We got some extremely good results over the trenching. So what we ended up doing was that, okay, we know where the gold is. Let's get in there with a drill rig. So that's exactly what we did in the summer of 2020. And we drilled below one of the trenches that, we saw 27 meters of 4.2 grams. So bang, we drilled underneath it, and we got 27.2 meters to 3.1. So all of a sudden you have it at surface, you have it in a drill hole, you start to think that, okay, I can get to some geometry on it. So we look to come back, and we wanted to do it last year as we wrapped up at Golden Zone. But the winter came early and made for some challenging conditions, sloppy, difficult roads. So we decided, let's let this pass and get ourselves prepared and come back at it in 22. So certainly this is where we would start our drilling, is in and around these intercepts. And really, it's really a matter of trying to put together. It doesn't have to be a large deposit. It could be a smaller deposit in terms of size. But if the grade is there, if you're seeing 3 and 4 grams, that is a very good grade material, and it doesn't have to be an enormous deposit to attract the attention. If you take a look at their close by their Gill deposit, you're looking at about 0.56 grams per ton. So we are about 5 to 6 times higher grade than that. So that kind of wraps up what we're doing in Alaska. At Jungo, we're now into Nevada. We've got one project there called the Jungo. It is drill ready. Our permits are in hand. It's bonded. We spent the better part of the last month or two working on an NI 43-101 technical report. It's just about ready. We'll be able to file that on CDAR soon. And it gives, an independent valuation. It wasn't so much that we did it, but we initiated it. and it gives us a third party's review of the project and looking at where we should continue to explore and drill. So we'll be able to share that information shortly, but certainly it's a great project in a great jurisdiction. There's been previous work done on it, in which you can see highlighted 3 drill holes, and it's been many years, over 20 years since then work is really being done on it. But you're seeing 4.3 meters or 1.7 grams, 12 meters or 1.3 grams, etc. You got gold, copper, and silver mineralization there. So it's an interesting project in a good jurisdiction between the Highcroft and the Sleeper deposits. So to kind of conclude, we kind of mentioned high tide resources. Again, this is just something that the company has been supporting, as created value that way. I guess value that hasn't been recognized. But we are a majority shareholder of High Tide. We're going public via direct listing in early 22. We've got currently over $3 million in cash, and we are going to distribute 9.4 million shares to Avidian Gold shareholders. So this is really important. So we are coming to the conclusion of this process. It's been a process with the Ontario Securities Exchange and the Canadian Ontario Securities Commission, the OSC, and the Canadian Securities Exchange. That's the listing that we're going to put this company on. So it's back and forth. I was hoping that this would have been done October, November. Well, obviously we're into January. Just before I got on the line with you, I spoke to one of the lawyers who's looking after this. We're hopeful now that we are in the last stages. We're in the last maybe 4 weeks before we can actually pull the trigger and get this listed. And as mentioned, if you are a shareholder of Avidian, you are going to be the recipient of a free share of High Tide resources. So for every X amount of shares of Avidian, you get Y shares of High Tide. So that's important. The 2 projects very quickly. The iron ore project, we straddled the border between Quebec and Labrador. This is the Southern Labrador Trough. This is Canada's iron mining belt. There are 4 operating mines in the area. This was a former project owned by Rio Tinto, IOC, adjacent to their Carroll Lake mine, 23 million ton per year operation. Right now, iron ore is smoking hot, about $127 a ton for Fe62. The products that come out of this area are actually about Fe66, 67% after they are turned into a concentrate or into a pellet. So very much in demand globally for this product. And we sit adjacent to all the required infrastructure, which is a huge advantage. It's similar to what we've got at Golden Zone. We are very close to infrastructure, which can make or break any project. On the Quebec side, there is the Lac Pegma project. This is copper, nickel, cobalt. It was last explored in 1996. I have the pleasure of stating I drilled the discovery hole number 3. In that year, in 1996, as a little bit of a sidebar, they dropped me off on Super Bowl weekend, which is in January, back in 1996, and they picked me up halfway through the Stanley Cup playoffs in May. That was old school time in which we spent a lot of time in the field. But we drilled 24 holes that year, and they came in later and drilled another 60. And then everyone lost interest in the project. Bre-X happened, and that was the end of that for a lot of years in terms of exploration. But I never forgot about that project. And it's got an old resource of about 1.5 million tons of 0.62 copper, 0.34 nickel, and 0.3 cobalt. We look to get in. I've spent time last year on this project, getting back up to speed with it and looking at the historic drill core. I think this is something that is going to be a game changer for this company. And these 2 projects, they are not being recognized at all in the value of Avidian Gold. But when it spins out, we think that we'll have a market cap somewhere between 10 to $15 million right away. So watch for that. That's going to be an exciting opportunity. So with that, I'm going to wrap up because we're sitting right now roughly at about half an hour. And I think there's probably some questions that come. Now, I've probably gone a little bit too quick for some people and too slow for others. I apologize for that. There's my email. That's my phone number right there in the top right corner. Please feel free to pick up the phone or send me an email if you want more information. Just a couple of happy geologists up at the Golden Zone project. I love to see images like that. So with that, I'll turn it back to David and let me know if you got some questions.
All right, thank you, Steve. If you are interested in asking a question and are logged into the Zoom app or web platform, you could submit your question to us directly in the chat module. As we wait for any questions to develop, we have received a couple of preliminary questions. So Steve, I know you just mentioned this and you were speaking quite swiftly, but could you talk about high tide going public? When will that be happening again?
Yeah, we're hoping that we're probably in the last 4 weeks. But you know what, as I said before, I've given up on timelines because we're not in control of the timeline. This is part of the OSC and the CSC's timeline. But you know, as I mentioned, just spoke to Zach, our lawyer, and we're hopeful that we're hopefully in the last 4 weeks. So that could be 6, but let's say February to March, and off to the races we go.
Terrific.
We're financed too. We've got money in the bank, so it's not a matter of having to come out now, start to finance. We've got the projects. We've got a driller under contract. We will be able to start drilling at the Labrador West, the iron ore project. That's kind of the plan. Drill 6 to 8 holes. We've got them all basically all set up. And then what we'll do is we'll come up with a maiden resource sometime during the summer, and if it all works out, a preliminary economic analysis, a PEA level study, and really, you know, put the shine on that project.
Gotcha. Thank you. A little follow-up question. In order to take advantage of the high tide distribution as an Avidian shareholder, when do you have to be a shareholder of record to take advantage of that? So when we'll make that announcement that, you know, it's been receipted and everything is being accepted by OSC and the CSC, then we put it before the board, and then the board votes to accept and to go ahead and proceed. And then there are 5 days to become a shareholder of record. So, you know, you can hang on a little bit longer, but it's coming soon. But there's, you know, absolutely, and then after those 5 days, after the clock winds down, that's it. There's going to be no free shares distributed. So there's not a lot of time left on that one. Gotcha. Thanks for clarifying. We are going to take one last question. What exploration company would you compare Avidian to, or companies?
Okay, that's a good one. I don't know if you know, it's a comparison. How about we kind of turn that around a little bit, and we'll say, who would you draw inspiration from? I think in Fairbanks, I would go with Free Gold Ventures, and I'll tell you why. Is that Free Gold Ventures is the company with the project, and they're just to the north. So if you go back and think about that image I showed you of the camp, just this one right here, actually. There it is. Free Gold Ventures, Golden Summit. So here we are to the south, and they're off to the east, and at the heart is Fort Knox. So they're plugging away. And these guys have been plugging away on that project for a long period of time. And, you know, they didn't get any love in the market until one day, I guess it was in about 2020, they put out a press release of about announcing a drill hole of 175 meters or so, about 3.5 grams. And the world changed for them. That day or before that, around that time, their share price was 4 cents. And it went to, I think, about $1.80. So the company changed, and the fate of the company changed, and the shareholders, you know, those who had stuck with the company, they were rewarded. So I draw inspiration from companies like Free Gold Ventures. If I take a look at the Golden Zone, and I mentioned this name before because it's a company that I do think a lot about, and I seek inspiration from, I guess, Nova Minerals, who have got the Estelle Gold Project to the southwest of us. It's a fair jaunt, but it's still in the Tantino Gold Belt where we are. Similar intrusion-related gold systems. And they took this project on in 2017 or 2018, and around that point in time, they had a little resource and they had some things going for them, but you know, they took their time, they studied things, they had historical information that they worked from, they updated it, and then they started to put it all together. And you look at them now, you know, I think they're roughly about a 6 million ounce deposit. I wish I had an image of that area. I don't know if I do. Maybe this one right here. Yeah, here they are. So here we are at Golden Zone. Here they are. There's Whistler and Tara. I think Shotgun's out there somewhere. There's a Shotgun over there. So they're in this vicinity over here. So there's the southwest of us. And when they took this project on, they were, I believe, about a 6 cent stock. So they've went from 6 cents to, I think, about $2.20, and they've settled back down maybe in the $1.50 range, and similar with the with Free Gold. But everything changed for them with one drill hole, or with, you know, I guess there's one drill hole that really stands out, and that was the recent one that they put out this year. It was like 130 meters at 10 grams or something, and from 400 meters from surface of 1 gram material, sorry, 3 gram material. So, you know, I think the same thing when I look at Armanita and Golden Zone. We're one freaking drill hole away from taking this thing over the top. So that's where I draw inspiration for companies that have been scuffing their, you know, bumping along the bottom for a number of years, who have got good projects, who have stuck to it, and were rewarded their shareholders. And I look to the same thing. We're trading at, I don't know what it is today, 8 cents Canadian, you know, 6.5 cents US. This is an opportunity. There's an opportunity coming at you with high tide resources and a distribution of free shares. There's more drill news coming from us at MEZ and the Copper King. And then there's all of what we're going to see in 22. We collected a lot of data. We are spending the wintertime. John, who's on the call with me, he's spending a lot of time looking at the data, looking at the geophysics. There's a lot of chemistry that we need to study. There's all the alteration minerals. There's a ton of stuff that we are pulling together. And having John as our VPX, he is going to be able to put this information together. So next year, when we come back out, you know, we're going to have areas that we are going to drill, you know, to continue to add resources and build a larger resource around the Breccia Pipe and MEZ and beyond. But we're going to have newer targets. As I mentioned, some of these, you know, Southwest prospects, eventually these will work their way into drill targets. And this is how you build a company. There's no shortcuts. It's about doing your work. And then these two companies in Free Gold and Nova, they haven't cut the corners. They've worked hard, and they have rewarded their shareholders and everyone around that company. So that's what I look at. You know, not a comparison, but I draw inspiration from these companies. They're working in Alaska. They are in the Tantino Gold Belt or proximal to it. They're doing the job the right way.
Gotcha. Well, thank you. And thank you, Steve. And thank you, John. And thank you for everyone for joining today's webinar. Today's webinar recording will soon be made available on Avidian's website. If you have any additional questions that you feel have not been addressed on this webinar, please feel free to email us at avidian@rbmilestone.com. Again, that's avidian@rbmilestone.com. Thank you, and you are now free to disconnect.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.